just getting Gloria on, and then we're going to be having a chat about our studios. Oh, there she is. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, lovely.
Let's turn around.
Just let me close the door of my son, who is doing online sessions for the school. So I close his door so I don't hear him too much.
Mine I've come outside to hide from mine.
So good morning, lovely. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Well, if I tell you what I just did, that's why I'm a little, because I just took an online session for the handstands.
You just did it online. You were teaching it, or you took part in it?
I was the student.
Fantastic! That's funny you say that, because I did the handstand workshop the other day with Marianne and
me too. Marianne and Miguel. They are very good friends
fantastic.
of mine and amazing teachers. They are very good friends of mine and amazing teachers. And I just got this session from this guy from London who is of the circus school, something like that. I love to see how other approaches perfectly connect to Pilates in the moment. You see Pilates as movement of the body. It was super cool. So it was nice.
It's really interesting, because I think I sort of mentioned it at the time. I fell over on my neck doing a handstand when I was a small child, and you're sort of fearless in those days when you're doing everything, and then it gave me the fear. So even to this day, anytime I go upside down in any shape, I'm sort of instantly transported back to that fear, that moment. And it stops me from doing things. But the other day I did a yoga class online, and I thought I'm going to try building the steps that from that workshop with Marianne the other day was kind of guiding us to. So I did all those sort of pre-steps, and then I walked myself up the wall with my feet, and I took one foot off, and I was like, oh, actually, I feel okay.
Well, and the psychological part is huge, and this guy was helping me with that. I can do candlestick on Cadillac. I can do a lot. In Pilates, I have no problem even upside down. It's on the hands, because me too, I fell down at the university once. So it was so funny that he was guiding me, actually, and I was thinking, oh yes, that's pull up one leg, that's up stretch, that's it. And thinking in these terms, it told me, oh, that was good. Oh, thank you. Thank goodness. That was pretty fun. Hi, Georgia. Hi, everybody. So many people are joining us.
Everyone's very excited. So in case anybody doesn't know and they're just joining us now, Gloria and I are going to be sort of having a chat about running a Pilates studio and a business, and obviously through the COVID-19 shutdown, and obviously Gloria's in Italy, so things are slightly different there to they are in the UK, and obviously we're kind of before the UK of closing the studio. We're going to have a chat about what that felt like, what that meant, all the kind of heartaches, and how we've had to adapt and change. Perhaps looking at a little bit about the return and what that might look like. And then do stay with us, because Gloria's going to do it as a reformer for your mat workout. I know lots of people are missing their apparatus, and this is a chance for you to sort of get that feeling still. Because ultimately, Pilates is adaptive, and it's something that is a feeling, as well as you don't have to be there on that piece of apparatus doing the same thing. It translates in around the studio, and it translates into your life. So having that reformer to mat is a lovely translation, isn't it?
Well, actually, I think this thing, Michelle, is super important, and it's something that sometimes we forget, that the ultimate goal of Joe was that we were supposed to learn skills, and we were supposed to be able to bring these skills out in daily life. I say that because I think sometimes Pilates is so much about thinking to be perfect and to do the right thing, rather than the efficient thing. Sometimes I think we look at the bodies more from a morphological point of view rather than a functional point of view. So, and I think that somehow this moment where we don't have our tools available completely, I'm very lucky, because since I'm a studio owner, I could bring at home some stuff. So I have my chair, my spine corrector, and my mat. But I think it's cool also to see you know, sometimes we lose some reference points and we find the center.
Yeah.
In a bigger meaning, not just muscles, but attitude and everything.
Exactly. And it's you know, how we've always talked about the idea of that Pilates isn't about Pilates in the studio, but how it translates to your daily life. And when people can start to realize now, oh, maybe actually all of those, you know, all the footwork that I've been doing on the reformer has been helping me so much to get up and out of a chair from bending and squatting in that position. And now I can kind of appreciate, whilst perhaps I'm not in the studio now, you know, these are your sort of daily clients, not in the studio now, and I'm missing out on that. That's why I'm feeling it now. That's why I'm feeling it more difficult to get up and around the house. Whereas before, I hadn't sort of really appreciated that's what it was doing for me, making my efficiency of movement, my daily life, so much more easier to move around.
Definitely.
So having this chance for people to kind of really check into what Pilates is about at its core, its philosophy is how that efficiency of movement and how it translates to your everyday movement, and not just the perfect looking candlestick or the perfect jackknife. It's not about that, is it? It's about what it does for you, for your daily life.
What it does for you, not the way you do the exercise. I think Romana said that it's not about how you do it, it's about what the exercise does for you. So of course there is a technique behind that, of course, that we have to learn, but the technique has to serve the function, not the opposite.
Absolutely.
I mean, not the opposite, not the form as to serve. Not the technique is not for the form, it's for the function, I think.
For the function, yeah.
I'm more.
I know there's loads of people got do drop some messages if you've got some comments. We'll be looking at those later, so feel free to drop the messages. So, you know, Gloria, you guys were kind of ahead of most people out here in the UK, and your studio was starting to see the changes way ahead before we were. So how long have you been in lockdown? How long has the studio been closed down for?
I think this is the 7th week, maybe. I closed the studio the 10th of March.
Oh, that's before that. We were the 7th week and we were the 20th of March. So you're ahead of that.
And I have to tell you that some activities started closing earlier, because I have to tell you that we started feeling some changes 2 weeks before I closed the studio. So I remember really from the end of February, it was really the beginning, you know, of everything. But some people, I noticed that some clients were starting canceling, say, I don't know if it's safe, I don't know what will happen. Some activities starting closing. I actually have been waiting for different reasons. I mean, one, because nothing was certain, and then because I still had so many people who wanted to come. So I just have been waiting to see how the things were going. Then, of course, when it has been clear that we had to close, I closed. And so, yes, it's a long time now, because today is the 6th of May. So it's exactly 3 months. And yeah. So it's not.
And you know, how was that for you? How was the sort of emotion and the feeling behind? Obviously, the practicalities and the reasons why studios had to close was evident. But how was it for you personally, emotionally, mentally, to close your studio?
Well, so I have to tell you. From one hand, of course, it's hard. It's hard because you close your studio, because you don't have the freedom to go to your own place. Also consider that my studio is not in my hometown. It's in another town. So I will be allowed to go to my studio from this week, but I couldn't go in the studio, not even with the studio closed, because we were not allowed to go out of another town. So I have to tell you that from one hand, of course, was very hard. On the other hand, I have to tell you that I've been super happy and proud, like, of my students and of my teachers, because I think the connection goes deeper than just, you know, than just seeing each other. I mean, it's super hard for the clients. It's super hard knowing that the clients would like to come and you cannot give them the service. It's scary from the economical point of view. Of course, I don't work for glory. I mean, I work, even though my name is Gloria, but I work to eat. I mean, that's what I do. It's a passion. I'm very lucky that my passion is also what gives me food, but I need to work.
Yeah.
And I'm still super lucky because, I used to do a lot of online even before, because I have the teacher training program. I have people who study with me from all over the world. So I already used to do Skype sessions and things like that. It's just that now it's all of that. I mainly work with students, with teachers. I don't have that many clients who want to do online sessions. They work with my teachers, so that I had the feeling to give them the possibility as well to work.
Yeah.
So from one hand, I have to tell you that it's very hard. On the other hand, I think we really understand what community is. So what does it mean to lift each other up, to go sometimes beyond all the shallow, not really important things, and really go to the real core, to the source of what really important is. So I'm okay. I'm getting a little tired with the idea. Then from this week, we are allowed to go out in the nature and things like that. It was heavier, the idea not to be able to go out in the nature. But for the studio, yes, it's hard. It's hard all of a sudden not to have the possibility to do what you love to do in the way you like. So
yeah, so you've had it very tough, because we've obviously in the UK we've been able to go out for exercise for an hour a day. I'm sitting outside my house, and to be able to go out and exercise has been lovely. But you've had that away from you as well. So to have that kind of freedom back this week must be amazing for you.
It is the idea that we can go. I live in a very nice place. I'm very lucky because I have a nice garden, so I could go at least to touch my plants in the garden.
Yeah.
But I have some woods here around, so I live on the sea as well. So the idea to go and breathe the sea was, yes, it's really something. I have to say that I also learned that, sometimes we say, okay, now we don't take for granted anything anymore. I actually realized that I never took for granted my freedom. I'm not, you know what I mean? I feel, okay, I'm missing it, but I never took it for granted. I won't be different in the meaning that now I will give more value to that, because I was already giving it a lot of value. It will have an even juicier taste, maybe, but juicy taste, but it's important. Of course,
Yeah.
not to never take anything for granted, but also learn that it's not, I think somehow it's not freedom, or, I think there is a very subtle line between freedom and responsibility. So to be free doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want, not understanding what does it mean to take care of the world around you. So if you think what's happening to the environment here, like in Venice, the swans are in the channels, the dolphins went back to the channels of Venice, to the canals. Can you imagine?
I know, it's amazing. It's amazing looking at the sky and not seeing so many plane trails now. To actually feel that the world has almost put a pause button and reset itself. It does really, really feel like that. 100 years ago from the Spanish flu, of having that time that the world has kind of said, enough. Let's pause, reset the earth, reset what is true to ourselves. We did, I've had quite a few of these lockdown lives and been chatting to our clients. We've been shut in my studio since the 20th of March. Just like you, we had that feeling that things were happening from the beginning of March, and things were starting to sort of creep down a bit, but there were lots of people that still wanted to come, and we were distancing people. But 20th of March we shut down, but it was a Friday. I remember it was sort of coming. We were preparing to do online things. We were doing them anyway. I was teaching online to clients in different places anyway, and it felt like it was going that way. But I got home Friday afternoon and I was busy preparing some bits and pieces, and then I saw the government announcement that we were closed, and I thought, I feel funny. I haven't been able to actually physically close my doors properly in a kind of ceremonial almost way. And because ours is a family run business, my husband and I, and we've got 2 small children, it felt important to close it together the way that we had opened it together. And every day leading up to that point, every time I left the studio, I felt like I was closing the doors, even though it wasn't at that point. And the very day when I actually just shut the doors, went home to carry on doing some work, was the day that was officially closed down. And I felt very strange that I hadn't sort of paid mind to that a little bit more. So the family went back to pick up some pieces. I went and got my wonder chair and got some stuff for the house, because like you, I'm not in the same town. And we as a family got to sort of say temporarily goodbye and shut the doors. And it felt so important to bring it right back to how we started. It was just me, my husband, and obviously 1 child at the time, and now 2. And when it boils sort of down to it, that's what our business is about at the very core. It's family, it's community, and it felt really poignant to shut those doors sort of officially with us as a little family together, because my kids have grown up in that studio as well, and they know what it is to have a wonder chair. I mean, what 3-year-old works out on a wonder chair? Then she's like, I want to do my workout.
Well, actually, my son complains a lot about the fact that the living room, can you take these things away from the living room? No. So they are all the time. I show you that's my living room now. So you see?
Yeah.
So
our house has been sort of reinvented for the purposes of homeschooling and having apparatus.
Sorry?
My husband said the same. Where are we going to put the wonder chair? I was like, it's a chair. It's a proper chair. We can use it as a proper chair. So when I got the children to start using it as a chair and reading, they're like, this is really cool. I was like, you see? It's nice.
That's actually again was the original goal of Joe, to put the chair, the other way, so you can have it as a wonderful piece of furniture, and then you turn upside down and you work out on that.
Yeah, and it really does work like that. It's such a lovely chair as a chair. I love it. I really love it as a chair.
So thinking about these things, it also makes me think that, my teacher and mentor is Jay Grimes, right? And so I remember once he said, eventually you arrive to a certain moment where you don't do Pilates like only when you work out. Of course, you always forever have to practice forever, but regularly and strongly. But you get to a certain moment where it's like if you do Pilates all the time. I mean, like Pilates gets into you. So you do Pilates while, and actually that's my favorite accomplishment, where like my clients tell me, oh, you know what? I was taking the dishes out of the dishwasher and I did it from my stomach. That's the real point. So I think it's also important to remember this, that exercise doesn't only mean, okay, I go at the studio where I do my exercises, and then in the rest of the time, I'm not aware and I don't really work from my center. So also to have the idea to do these things from home, I think can be good to educate all of us. Like even before the coronavirus, every morning I wake up and I do my mat every morning forever. So, also to give the idea that our daily practice can become something that we can do in any moment. We don't need to overwork for that. How many times it can happen to all of us to hear people say, no, I have no time to come there. If we show to people the simplicity of this work, the complexity, but also how easy it can be to practice when you want to practice.
Yeah.
So
I've seen you do a fantastic workshop on having just a regular chair at home and almost using it as your wonder chair. It doesn't, like you say, if you don't have a wonder chair at home, it doesn't mean to say you don't have the ethos of what it's about. It's there within you and the tools around you to use in that way. I thought that was a fabulous session with a regular chair. If no one's seen it, I'm sure you've got it somewhere in Gloria to have a look at.
It was super fun.
Yeah, super fun. So, I mean, you're you're kind of at this new stage now of you can go out a bit, but where's the feeling for you in Italy of going back to the studio, or going back to normal? Let's just say normal for now. Like, where does it lie in the government right now?
Well, that's a big question. That's a very good and big question, because I don't really think we are going to go back. That's the first thing we have to accept, that we are not going to go back where we were.
No.
I mean that who knows? I think, and actually, I think that this is the kind of the hardest feeling of, because, you know, one thing, if you think, okay, guys, you have to stay at home for 2 months, 3 months, and then you can go back to your life. One thing is, okay, guys, so now you have to stay at home for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, who knows? And then you will be able to go a little out, maybe to go back to your work, but we don't know yet how. We don't know yet how many people. And we don't know yet if there is another wave of contagious and you have to go back to the lockdown. I think now this is the scariest part here. So what's happening here now is that, again, we are allowed to go out a little. We are allowed to go out in the nature, to practice sport in the nature, not with too many people, of course, by yourself and things like that. About the studios, it's not very clear, and it actually also depends on the regions. I think and hope that we should be able to reopen between the 18th of May and the 1st of June. Probably anyway, with one person at the time, 2 people at the time. I mean, also having the right distance. Again, I'm very lucky. I have a quite big space at the studio. So, and I have a certain number of reformers, etc. So I will be able to distance people easily. But not all the studios are big enough, have enough apparatus. So it's kind of very, you know, what will I be able to do again? And then also this part that thinks, okay, but now if this happens again, we have to go in a lockdown again. So from one hand, I think it will be good not to go wild like where we were, thinking about nature first of all. So maybe be more aware of the fact that we are not the owners of Mother Earth, and so be more respectful and be more aware. On the other hand, hi Ale, on the other hand, I really think it's kind of scary. And I can tell you that I talked to some of my friends who say, well, I got lazy. I don't want to go out because I got really lazy. That's the other thing. So these things really make me think a lot. So I think, well, maybe it's not even that bad that we got a little lazier. Well, I didn't get lazy at all, but you know what I mean, a little calmer, so that we are not going back to the normal that was just to rush all the time. So and
that's the real
our
point
time.
I want to talk about. Later today, I'm having a conversation with 2 studio owners in different places across the UK, and it's fabulous because I don't know them personally to see. Never met them. We know each other through social media and knowing that we've got very similar type studios in different parts of the country. And we're having a conversation today about being studio owners and actually what is it to go back? What does it mean? Not for everybody else, but for us personally, because as a studio owner and as a teacher, you know, you give all of your heart and soul to your studio, to your clients, to your teachers, to everybody else that's there. And like you say, it is a true passion, which is why you do it. But, you know, like yourself, you're super busy teaching at a studio. You're all over the world doing workshops as well and presenting. Taking that step back right now that's been forced upon us isn't a bad thing. It's given people lots of time to reflect on what is important to them and perhaps looking back on what life was like for themselves as that studio owner and dealing with everything around it. For lots of people I've discussed with that are studio owners, they've all said quite similarly to in the UK, I think the percentages, there's only 8% of people that wish to go back to the way things were. Only 8%. That's huge. So for lots of studio owners I've spoken to, they've said quite similar feelings. They don't want to go back to how they were doing it before. and having time to be with their families now and having time to dial it back a little bit to benefit themselves better has given them lots of space to really think about that. How do you feel about that for yourself or for the Pilates community?
Well, for me personally, I know that I do a lot. That's also my nature. I'm Gemini, rising Gemini, you know. So it's my nature. I don't even, sometimes I say I don't even do that on purpose. Sometimes it's the opposite. When I say, okay, maybe I have to calm down a little, all of a sudden I receive invitations, I receive projects and everything. So, you know, we all talk about the idea to get out of our comfort zone, blah, blah, blah. I am sharing with a colleague with a guy who does work similar to us, who is a very wise and smart guy, a different feeling that is about expanding our comfort zone. So rather than having the idea of, you know, always get out looking for something. And I'm not exactly like that. The reason why I travel so much, I do so much stuff is that I really love to share. And if I have the possibility, I just like it. I just feel super blessed, just that. So I think that personally, thinking about this, you know, also stay at home, I started thinking maybe I just can find different ways of managing the things. So different ways of balancing the things. So I always knew that my point is to find a balance between the work I love and my family and myself, not to lose myself in the process of finding myself. You know what I mean? So so it's that personally I look forward, yes, to go back there, but I also want to accept the steps. And I want to see and I want to let the things come in the way they have to come. And let's flow. Let's flow with what is going to happen. I'm obsessed with the concept of flow in Pilates. So it will be good to really feel this flow in the process of going back to life again. Or maybe it's not even going back to life, but really understand how we can be ourselves all the time, when we are out, when we are in, that there's not such a huge difference between in and out. That's also another point, and finding different ways of stay connected and things like that. So really to find a balance and
to find a balance. I think that's the key thing, isn't it? I mean, obviously in Pilates itself, but for I've had a number of questions sort of sent in advance for the session today, and it was basically studio owners saying, how do you find that balance when you're trying to earn money for yourself, earn money for your business, earn money for the teachers that you have there, you give, but how do you find the balance between what the demand is versus what perhaps you feel that you can do?
Okay, so first of all, I do practice a lot, and I'm not just saying that just for saying, but for me, Pilates is really, my practice of Pilates is really a way of balancing myself, of taking care of myself, so that when I go to teach to others, I give something to myself. I nurture myself, and so it's better. Then something I have to say is really connected to my way of teaching. So the approach to teaching of Pilates, and if I can give this suggestion to all the teachers around, I think we are often so obsessed with correcting everything, making everything perfect, making everything work. I think personally that this also gives ourselves a lot of overstress that we really don't need, and that doesn't help us to really enjoy the moment somehow. So I think can be good also really consider the way we practice, not just what we do, but the way we do it, the way we approach things. So again, it's really connected to the way I teach, because if I just observe the body, if I, like Jay says, if I let the body talk to you, and if I get into the process, that's a process that nurtures me. So after a few hours, I am tired. Yes. After some hours, not few, but some hours, I am tired. Yes, I am. But it's a different kind of tiredness. I don't get grown. So
Yeah.
this is a message I would like to give to the Pilates community. Let's remember that sometimes the way we practice and the way we teach, just we add an over tiredness and over stress that we really don't need. So it's not between like correcting, not correcting. I think it's more between looking for what's wrong and looking for the process. So, you know, if you look at the things looking for what's wrong, you will always find something wrong.
Yeah.
But so a different attitude to our teaching and our practice can really help. Another thing is to learn to create a team. I am incredibly lucky because I have an amazing team. My guys who work with me, they work with me forever. One of my girls, Desiree, works with me since I was pregnant. My son is 13. Another one for 10 years. One of them is my best male friend. We are friends for 20 years. So I really have an amazing team. This is also a point. You as owners, always remember to take care of your teachers. Because if you take care of your teacher, it's not me who said that. I think the guy of the Virgin. If you take care, what's his name? The guy, the Virgin guy. Oh, I don't remember.
Branson, yeah.
Yes,
Richard Branson, yeah.
yes. I think it is sad if you take
Yeah.
care of your work, of your co-workers. So in our case, of your teachers, they will take care of your clients. It's so true. So guys, if you are owners, don't forget. It also depends on how your studio is organized. My teachers study with me as well. I'm also their teacher, but never forget to do that. It's not that you have to be on top of everything. I like to be at the bottom of everything. So then to see, you know, all of them growing. And then I'm also super lucky because I have my teacher training school and it's a family, that one as well. So
Yeah.
the real idea of community is this. It's not just, you know, it's that I can rely on you, you can rely on me. And it's, so I think these are very important. So the attitude of what we do, the quality of what we do without adding over stress, and build up real good, strong team and relationships.
100%. We've had, I've had several messages from different teachers across the UK who, again, I know of but not have met since this whole thing happened. So in the UK, there is probably a very few amount of studios that employ their teachers. It's quite common, obviously, to have freelance teachers, and we are one of them. We have employed our teachers for many, many years. It's something that we changed from having freelancers to employed teachers because we noticed a long time ago that the clients were getting more out of it when they had that regularity with the teacher. The teachers were getting more out of it when they could spend more time rather than having to rush off to places. And they were getting exhausted from running to London to teach a class and then running back to somewhere else to teach a class, and little sort of passion time for themselves. It was just about running to places all the time. Being based at one place, like you know, your teachers, gives them opportunity to learn and to study and to be with them and absorb a bit more like a sponge. And since obviously this crisis happened, we've been very fortunate to be able to protect our staff like that, because by having them employed means that they are protected by us and we're protected by the government for them to have opportunities to claim work and benefits. And we have gone online, and most of our teachers are all teaching pretty much the same amount of hours that they were doing before. Because of the sort of demand we've given them. I, as a director of the company, aren't allowed to be earning money for ourselves. That's a bit of a strange thing. So I've given all my teaching to my staff so that they can have the best opportunities to earn money, that they feel protected. And it was lovely. We had so many conversations, and we've been having weekly kind of get-togethers just for working out and catching up, checking in with, you know, what's going on and how our minds are feeling as well as our bodies. And that's been a really lovely thing, is looking at it and thinking, you know, what we've had has always been wonderful. And now it really reinforces that for me, that we are a team that have been together, like you. My child is 9 and 3. Some of them have been there since the beginning. And They've trained, as I've been a mentor for a teacher program, they've trained there and then been a mentor stuff with me. And we have worked this together, and we've come through this together, and we've cried together, and but it meant that they've been protected by what we've been able to offer them. And so it was lovely to hear messages from people saying, I feel connected to your studio, and I don't even know your studio physically, personally, but I can see from your teachers and the community that you've got. And we had such a lovely message from somebody who joined in our classes online, who had never worked with us before, and she said, I don't know your teachers, I don't know your studio, I live in London, I'm not sort of near you, but I can feel your community in the workout when I've joined into it. And I thought, that's great. And I think that's what your sort of message is it's more than a workout, it's more than owning a studio. It is a community within the clients, within the teachers, within the wider community. And it's really, I've certainly felt a huge community in the Pilates world open out, to have opportunities to work with people that you physically couldn't get to in America or Italy or whatever. You know, like you said this morning, having a chance to just pop on to London and work out with somebody, that's opened so many possibilities, hasn't it? Yeah. It's lovely the community has come together in that way.
I totally agree with you about hiring teachers, or I mean having them as co-workers. That's also, I have to confess, it really also depends on the country, on how the taxes work. So I don't hire them. They are co-workers, so independent workers, but fortunately the studio runs very well, so they have a lot of hours, so they basically spend all the time there, and they're not that interested in teaching out. But these demonstrate even more that it's not even a contract itself that makes that, but it's really your idea of protecting and doing these things. Then of course it also depends, there are choices that each one of us has to do according also to your own country, the laws and everything. But above all, yes, the point is for me to make a place where they really feel good in staying. Then of course you can have problems, you can also have those things, but it's not just a job, you know. I mean, it's a job of course, but it's something I do believe in. It's definitely something I do believe in. And I also want to tell you this, that I know that in this moment of lockdown, there are so many live things. And I know that some teachers complain about the fact that if some of us do something for free, then people don't pay for lessons that are not free. I have to tell you that I don't really believe this. And I also think it depends on what you give for free. You know what I mean? And why you do that. So for instance, I don't give private classes for free because that's another thing. Of course, I mean, as usually in life, it's a matter of balance. We all have to work. It's still a job. So of course, if you want a private lesson, I cannot give you for free because again, I still have to eat. So that's my job. But on the other hand, I really feel that this thing to do this kind of live and things, it's the opposite. It's a way to inspire people to get deeper in their practice. I know that some people never practice so much for themselves and never felt the will to take private sessions so much like in this period. So again, another thing that we can think about more than ever in a moment like that is that in life, always, we can move from two different places. One is from fear. So I can move from the fear that I'm not getting money, the fear that I'm not going to work anymore, or from love. And so the idea, okay, let's see what I can do. I didn't start immediately to do the live. When I went in the lockdown, I needed 10 days, 2 weeks to just get into myself, to digest the situation, to rest a little. All of a sudden, I could stay at home. I mean, I never had so many Sundays free in a row for years now. So I needed to take my time to stay with my boys, my husband and my son, and take this time. And then I felt, okay, now I want to do something. Now I want to find my own way to do something, to make people feel that you are not alone and that we can do something together. And another thing, I'm incredibly proud of my students is that many of them starting giving each other lessons, just exchanging, and they are growing so much. It's something that you can do anytime, but sometimes you don't have time. And I
Yeah.
have to tell you that I really wish in the moment we will go back to real life to save some time to keep doing this live. I want to keep them. It's an amazing way when I receive messages that tell me, oh, you made me feel good, you helped me with that. That's the whole point about doing these things. So again, it's not or I make money or I give everything for free. It's intention behind whatever we do. So I
Yeah.
think
I mean,
we always
I
have to
literally
look
couldn't
the
agree
bigger
more.
picture.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think one of the biggest things sort of, you know, for me that's personally attracted to you as a person, Gloria, I mean, in every photo we ever see of you, it's a huge smile. I mean, we know that you can do the moves. There it is. I just want to got a
With so
picture of
many
that.
teeth.
We know you can do the moves. We know you can do Pilates, but it comes across even on your photos that you're doing Pilates from your heart. And
Oh, you see, it's not that hard to make me cry, just so you know. That's the point. My people know that
I
it's
mean,
not that hard. It's not that hard.
it
I'm
really
sorry.
does. And I couldn't agree with you more in that message. I too had the same thing when we closed down. People were instantly, our clients, what are we going to do? How are we going to work? And I had to say, guys, I just need a few days because I've just shut my studio. And I'm like, whoa, what just happened here? I need a few days. In nearly 10 years, our studio's been open 52 weeks of the year, every year, you know, and to have that moment just to say, I just need a few days to be with my family, digest what's gone on. My children don't have their friends now. I just need a few days. And we took a few days, like you say, to just stop for a moment and think,
You
wait,
know,
just what are we going to do
you
here?
know, and this is connected again to the approach to our practice and our teaching again, because it's like when we see a body and we want to, I need to correct that, to fix that. No, take your time, create a space, create a little space. And you know, with that guy I just took a session from body headset, it kept the mantra was take your time. Take your time to feel your body. Take your time. Yesterday, I found this amazing quote. I think it's from an Italian guy that says, sometimes we need to stop to create a space. We always need to create a space where we can allow our soul to reach us.
That is so funny. I have literally got written it on this bit of paper. My
Oh my
favorite,
goodness.
that is so funny. My favorite quote that you've put on your social media was, we need to create places to stop our rush and wait for the soul.
And wait,
And
oh
I'm
my
like,
God, when I saw that, I said, oh my God, that's my philosophy of life. That's what I'm trying to reach forever. That's
yeah,
the point. And in the way I teach and in the way I guide my teachers to learn to teach, you know, my teacher Jay says we have to learn to use our instinct and intuition to teach. Okay. And I always thought, okay, I know how to do that for myself. I know how to get in contact with my instinct and intuition, but how can I help my students to do that? And that's where I started thinking, okay, I have to understand how to help them to create a space while they're teaching as well, where they are practicing, to let these things come up to you instead of always this to this. So I think this, I have to say that beside the money worrying, and beside that, it's basically just that. It's basically just thinking, oh, will I be able to, you know, to make enough money to keep living? And still we are able to use our own creativity to find different ways. Let's remember this, and we can adapt to everything. Beside that, I'm super happy about this quarantine. I'm super happy that I had the chance to, oh, of course, beside all the respect I have for people who died and everything, of course, I just take it for granted. Of course, my father is also a doctor, and I don't see him for up from the end of February because he works in a hospital 700 kilometers far from here. So I'm going to see him in June again, and I know it's so hard. So of course I'm totally aware of this, but this point, Michelle, I think it's super important not to need to understand everything all of a sudden. Take our time. Just take a second.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say to my teachers, just literally when you are in a moment where you see the body and you want him to do something and he doesn't understand and you get frustrated and he gets frustrated, I say to them, just literally physically make one step back, breathe, get away from that, and then you will be able to go there with a different idea. We have been forced to do the same, to make a huge one step back.
Yeah, I'm super pleased that we both have the same quote there, just randomly. We didn't plan that at all. I think that's amazing. I think that's the message that people, you know, this is particularly for sort of Pilates teachers and owners, to just take that message wherever you are, is to pause and to remember you don't have to rush back into the way things were. You don't have to rush about anything. You just pause for a minute and think, we've got this time now, so create yourself that space and time to think, what do I want? What is the new normal for me? How perhaps do I want to change things? If there was something before that didn't work for you, maybe this is the opportunity to change.
What
to move
resonates to my soul, what really resonates to my soul and my heart, to find it.
So I think I just wanted to you know, to give a couple more kind of weird coincidences. Both of us were actually born in 1979. Both of us went to another country to find Pilates. So you found Pilates in Boston, did you?
At the beginning, yes. Actually, I started going in Holland with a teacher there, and then I wanted more. I wanted to get deeper, so I started going to Boston and studied with Claire Dunphy and Pamela Garcia, who are both amazing teachers. I'm so sorry, my husband is okay. He's showing me if I want some zucchini for lunch. Okay, honey, that's the perfect moment. Thank you. That's the good thing about life. I'm sorry.
That's love.
And oh yes, and so yes, I started working with them, in particular with Claire Dunphy, who is a wonderful, amazing teacher. And then I think she actually has been the first talking to me about Jay Grimes. Then also my dear friend Amy Kello, who is in England as well. We were sharing experience. We found each other in the ears. And once I was at her place because she invited Claire, and I said, "Oh, what's your next project?" She told me, "I'm going to Vintage Pilates." With Jay Grimes. I said, oh my God, second time I hear about this name, I have to go and check. And I wrote to them. It was quite the beginning. And from there, another word opened for me. I mean, already I have to say, I treasure every teacher I had, because each one of them really gave me the next step. Like without the Holland teacher, who is Ernie Prevo, I couldn't get ready to go to Claire and Pamela Garcia, and without Claire, I would never have been ready to go to Jay. And when I found Jay and Sandy Shimoda and Karen Frischman and all the people there like Alisa Wyatt and that amazing community, that's where really I found, oh my God, yes, that's exactly what I needed. And then I have been able to start creating something else here. You know, it's really like with the flowers, that the bee goes there and then goes on and you create a garden. So
I love that in a lot of your photos you've got your tattoos out. What's your big tattoo back here? Because I've got several tattoos on my back as well, and they're not always sort of on show in the Pilates world. And I just love this photo of you. I think maybe you're doing the snake or twist, and you as you can really see, is it a leopard and a rose or something up here?
Okay, see here there is the blue eyes tiger, and yes, if my husband can help me again, so I can show you it's actually a black jaguar. Okay,
black
jaguar, yes. Pilates, there it is. Okay, you can see that. There it is, with the rose. Okay, that's so funny. I didn't expect that. And
what's the connection with the two? You've got tigers and jaguars. Is that just coincidence or?
Oh, of course. Come on. Do you really believe in coincidence, Michelle? Come on. Come on. What are you talking about? I don't even know the word. I know the word synchronicities, but not coincidence. So, well, actually, the white tiger, I choose the white tiger with blue eyes, of course. Because I found that it was connected to some things, you know, when you meet some special people who tell you things and they tell you it's you have a connection with those animals. That's why. Then actually the back one is so funny. And here really you'd understand that it's not about coincidence, because at the beginning I had another tattoo under that. This is a big secret I'm sharing with the world. So that it was, when I found it, it was supposed to be a Chinese symbol that was supposed to mean glory in the big meaning. So I said, oh my God, it's mine. I can get the other meaning. So then a Chinese guy saw it. He told me it was upside down, and I said, it's okay. And then he told me, well, the actual meaning is to be proud to belong to the Chinese population. So I love Chinese people. I love everything of all over the world, but I didn't feel it mine. I said, that's not me because I'm not Chinese. So I said, what can I do with that? And I found out that you can do cover-ups. So I went to this place, and they told me, well, to cover something black, the best thing is like a Black Panther. I said, well, it's great. I have the tiger here. Let's do the tiger zoo. And my son was with me, he was little. He told me, yeah, Ma, come on, get the black shower. And then after a while, after I felt, I got that, and I acted with blue eyes, of course. After a while, I received so many messages from other people, including a shaman and other people, of my connection with the black jaguar. So I said, you see, I didn't even went for that, but somehow the path, I put another tattoo with a meaning, and then ta-da-da-da-da, and something brought it to me. That's the way I felt it. So
that's lovely. I have got a lady with huge angel wings on the base of my spine. Well, I used to live in Australia, and that's how I found Pilates. So I had a car accident when I was, I don't know, 20-something years ago, and the kind of care in the UK was quite standard: 6 weeks of physio, some painkillers, and a TENS machine, and you're done. I lived in Australia, and I found a Pilates studio, and that was my connection into Pilates. And I found an artist in a local market that I just loved her drawings. I just loved her work, and I said, would you draw me my own tattoo? I want huge wings with a lady sort of looking down, kind of very coy-like, but she's these huge protective wings. And I want big colour on the wings and then nothing on the body. So I've had this huge tattoo on the bottom. Years later, I was back in Australia, and I thought, I want another one. And I've got this big connection to Australia, so I decided to have another tattoo. So I had an Aboriginal art painting, like the dot paintings drawn in the middle of my back, and it means looking after your people.
Something like that. Something like that. The pointings. That's what you mean. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can't show because my back is I don't think you can see mine. It's
Yes, that's an Australian thing. I got it in Australia.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's the dot paintings with these sort of tribal signs off it, and it means looking after your people. And I think that's the kind of summary of everything really is that. I just thought, yeah, that means exactly what my sort of philosophy about life is, about yourself and about other people. So, well, I've loved chatting.
Difference.
Move, and cool. People are all desperate to see you do some reformer.
Are we moving? Yes.
I'm going to turn my screen away so that people can kind of concentrate on your workout. So this.
But we only have 5 minutes.
Okay.
We only have 5 minutes, right?
Whatever you've got, Gloria.
No, I mean that I think the Instagram is shutting down after 1 hour anyway.
Oh.
Yes. So I didn't watch the time. So what do you want to do? You want me to show something very quickly?
Yeah, show
we want to keep.
How can they use just a mat without anything? If you don't have anything at home, because I've seen some reformer workouts on the mat that still require lots of sliders and things and stuff.
So I'm going to show something, and then Michelle, if you want, since we went a little longer with the chat, and if you want to plan another time that we can have more exercises, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay, cool.
I'll just show you something though. We have 5 times to show something. So there we are. Lo tieni che si veda bene? Ok. Quindi giralo così. No. Vertical, like this. Keep it there. Okay, guys. So I know you can do a lot of stuff. Stai un pochino più lontano? Togli il tavolo? Okay, there it is. You can see me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm having this mat, but you can use any kind of mat, also yoga mat or something. So the way I see footwork, for instance, you stay here with your arms because this helps you to connect your back. You bend your knees here, okay, for a second and really find your stomach here and the length of your back. Then you put your feet down and you just slide your feet and bring them in like this. You slide your feet and bring them in with the idea really to feel the carriage moving underneath you. You can do it like this, and you can either do like that. So from here, you stretch your legs, find the right height for you, that you don't feel any pressure in your back, and really reach your arms back when you stretch your legs. Squeeze your heels and lengthen. And then you can do the same with your legs together, thinking about doing the arches, as well as the heels. You push and come, push and come. Oh, that's good. It really goes into the stomach. Then you can go down with your legs, and to do the tendon stretch, you're just going to move your feet, but really feel that it's not just about moving your feet. So what you want to feel is that the movement of your feet really starts from the middle back. The reason why, again, I'm keeping my arms back is to connect my arms better to my back and to really have the feeling of reaching in the two directions. On the reformer, of course, I have that from the springs, right? Okay. Then, of course, we do the 100 in the same way we do on the mat, but really pretend to have the straps into your hands. So when you go up, it's not head and pull, but you really think about pressing your straps down, and that's how you connect your back. I'm not doing all the repetitions so I can show you more exercises, guys, okay? And then you go down. Same idea here. Again, pretend to have your straps for your overhead. So really connect. Oh, my couch is there. Doesn't matter. And again, really pretend to have the straps in your hands and feel the support of the back that they can give you. A lift. It's all about coordinating the movement of your arms with the movement of your back. And from here, you go directly into coordination. The point of doing these exercises, it's like for everything else, is to find the same connection in your body that go through all the exercises. Really pretend to have the straps here and push down to come in. Push forward, actually. Stretch, open, close. You really reach forward on the way in until you squeeze all the juice out of your stomach, and then you bend. Okay? So then we can have our rowing. Tiras un poquito. Okay. So pretending to have our rowing, I'm having my handles here. I round back, open, move only my arms, and then really reach up and over until my hands are together. I go 1, 2, 3, and reach and go. So I find very interesting to do the rowing without straps sometimes, something that I do also on the reformer as well, just because I noticed that sometimes people, as soon as they have the tension of the springs and of the straps in their bodies, they tend to overuse them.
Yeah, quite muscly.
Yes, exactly. You know, there's a student of mine, she knows who she is, she's super lovely. Once she was doing the push through, and she told me, oh my God, you see, it's too resistant to spring. I said, honey, you don't have any spring. I took it off. She didn't even realize. It's something you can find. Now, we have to pretend. Jay says it's an art to find that really subtle balance on the way you use the springs and the strap. For me, they are like water. They have to give you the right amount of resistance.